Hello everyone, welcome back to the lecture series on electronic instrumentation, and this is Shekhar, your course instructor. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about the fundamental concepts of AC bridge circuit. We have derived some balance condition for this AC bridge circuit in the previous lecture, and in today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the first application of this AC bridge circuit, which is the measurement of inductance by using Maxwell's bridge. So, in today's lecture, we are going to discuss about Maxwell's bridge, which is used for the measurement of inductance, the first application of AC bridge circuit. So, before going into the actual concepts of this Maxwell bridge, let us discuss about the learning outcomes of this lecture. So, after successful completion of this lecture, you will be able to design a Maxwell bridge. You will be able to design a Maxwell bridge, and you will be able to measure unknown inductance using this Maxwell bridge. You will be able to measure unknown inductance using this Maxwell bridge, and you will have the insights of signal conditioning. You will have the insights of signal conditioning, and you will know the process of signal conditioning. So, why do we need a Maxwell's bridge? So, as we discussed, AC bridges are used for the measurement of different electrical parameters like inductance, capacitance, resistance, and also for sometimes frequency. So, Maxwell bridge is used for the measurement of inductance. So, Maxwell bridge is used for the measurement of inductance. So, under this Maxwell bridge, we will be having two different types. The first one is Maxwell inductive bridge, and the second one is Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge. Under Maxwell bridge, we have two models. The first one is Maxwell inductive bridge, and the second one is Maxwell inductive bridge. So, in Maxwell inductive bridge, we will be discussing about the measurement of unknown inductance by comparing it with a standard inductor. In Maxwell inductive bridge, we will be measuring the unknown inductance by taking the reference as a standard inductor. But coming to Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge, here we will be measuring the unknown inductance value by considering the standard inductor and also a capacitor. Here in Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge, along with the standard inductor, we will be having a capacitance, by virtue of which we are going to measure the unknown inductance value. So, let us now discuss about Maxwell inductive bridge. So, here we have the general form of an AC bridge circuit and also the Maxwell inductive bridge. And if you observe the variations between these two bridges, there is no much variation except in this particular arm AD. Except in this particular arm AD, there is no other variation in the general purpose AC bridge and a Maxwell inductive bridge. Here in general purpose AC bridge, in the arm AD we have a standard resistor R2 and a standard inductor L2. But coming to Maxwell inductive bridge, in the arm AD we have a variable resistor R2 and a variable inductor L2. We have variable resistor R2 and variable inductor L2. So, the standard resistance R2 and inductor L2 are replaced by a variable resistance R2 and variable inductor L2 over Maxwell inductive bridge. That is the only variation between a general purpose AC bridge and a Maxwell inductive bridge. So, now let us see the construction details of this Maxwell inductive bridge. So just like a general purpose bridge, here we have 4 nodes A, B, C and D, and these 4 nodes A, B, C and D will form 4 impedance arms. These 4 nodes will form 4 impedance arms, namely AB, BC, CD and DA. And we have a voltage source, AC voltage source, capital E, and we have detector, capital D. The voltage source is connected across the nodes A and C, and the detector is connected across the nodes B and D. And in the arm AB, we have a resistance R1 and an inductor L1. A resistance R1 and inductor L1, and here we are assuming this resistance R1 and inductor L1 are the unknowns. In this circuit, we are assuming that the resistance R1 and inductor L1 as the unknown values. And in the arm BC, we have standard resistance R3. In the arm BC, we have standard resistance R3, and in the arm CD, we have standard resistance R4, and in the arm AD, in the arm AD, we have variable resistance R2 and a variable inductor L2. So, in this way, we have constructed a Maxwell inductive bridge. Now, we will try to derive the expressions for the unknown values of R1 and L1 using the AC bridge balanced condition. So, when this bridge is in balanced condition, we know that impedances Z1, Z4 should be equal to impedance Z2 and Z3. So, here the impedance Z1 is nothing but the impedance of the arm AB, and impedance Z2 is the impedance of the arm AD, and Z3 is the impedance of the arm BC, and Z4 is the impedance of the arm CD. Now, we will substitute the impedance values of these 4 impedances Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4 from this circuit into this expression. Here the impedance Z1 is associated with resistance R1 and inductor L1. So, that one the Z1 can be represented as R1 plus j omega L1, and it is in product with impedance Z4, and Z4 impedance is of the arm CD, and there we have resistance R4. So, in product with R4, and Z2 is the impedance of the arm AD, and it is having the resistor R2, variable resistor R2 and variable inductor L2. So, if you represent them, R2 plus j omega L2, and impedance Z3 is the impedance of the arm BC, and there we have a resistance R3, and so we will get R3 in product to it. Now, we will simplify this expression. So, you will get R1 R4 plus j omega L1 R4 will be equal to R2 R3 plus j omega L2 R3. Now, we will compare the real and imaginary terms on both sides of this equation. If you compare the real terms, we have R1 and R4 on one side and R2 and R3 on the other side, and we have assumed that R1 is the one unknown. So, from this equation, we are going to derive an expression for this unknown R1 such that R1 will be equal to R2 R3 by R4, and now we will compare the imaginary terms. So, if you compare imaginary terms, we have j omega L1 R4 equal to j omega L2 R3. If you cancel out j omega and j omega, and we have assumed that L1 is another unknown value. So, we will try to derive an expression of for L1 from this equation. So, you will get L1 equal to L2 R3 by R4. So, by using the AC bridge balanced condition and by substituting the impedance values of this circuit, we are able to derive the expression for the unknown resistance R1 and unknown inductance L1 in this Maxwell inductive bridge. So, R1 is nothing but R2 R3 by R4, which are known values, and L1 is nothing but L2 R3 by R4, which are also known values. So, by substituting these known values into these expressions, we can find out the unknown values of inductance and resistances. And here we have the phasor diagram of this circuit. So, coming to this phasor diagram, if you want to represent the phase of the circuit, because as we are dealing with capacitors and inductance, we need to consider the phase of the circuit also. So, if you want to represent the phase of a resistance, if you want to represent the phase of resistance, if you consider it the both current and voltage for resistance, both current and voltage will be in phase to each other, will be in same phase. For a resistor, the current and voltage will be in phase with each other. And if you go to an inductor, if you consider for an inductor, here voltage will lead current by 90 degrees. Voltage, if you consider this, voltage will lead the current by 90 degrees. And if you take capacitor, if you have anyhow here we do not have a capacitor, but let us discuss about it also. Similarly, if you consider a capacitance, then current will lead voltage by 90 degrees. Current will lead voltage by 90 degrees. So, for resistor, both current and voltage are in phase, and for inductor, voltage will lead current by 90 degrees, and for capacitance, current will lead voltage by 90 degrees. So, now we will try to represent this particular currents and voltages in this Maxwell inductive bridge using the phasor diagram. So, for that, let us assume the total current in the circuit is capital I, and the total current is at the point node A. It is divided into two parts, I1 and I2, and I am taking the phasor of this current I1 as the reference. So, I am taking the current I1 initially, I am taking the current I1 phasor I1 as the reference. So, this current I1 is passing through the resistance R1. So, it will form the voltage drop will be I1 into R1. So, that is why I have represented one more vector I1 into R1 over here. And here we have an inductor, and for inductor the voltage will lead current by 90 degrees. So, I have taken this lead of voltage with respect to current by 90 degrees. Here the angle is 90 degrees, and the voltage associated in this arm AB is E1. So, I have represented this one as E1, and the current passing through this inductor is I1. So, I1 into L1 is nothing but j omega L1. So, I1 into j omega L1 is this vector representation. And when the bridge is in balance condition, voltage E1 will be equal to voltage E2. Voltage E1 will be equal to voltage E2. That is why we can represent E1 is equal to E2. In the same way, current I2 into the current passing through this inductor L2 will be equal to the current passing through this inductor L1. So, I1 into omega L1 will be equal to I2 into omega L2, and the current passing through this resistance capital R2, and also here we have considered a variable resistance, variable inductor L2, and this variable inductor will be associated with a internal resistance, and I am considering that internal resistance as small r2. So, the current passing through this arm AD will be current I2 into capital R2 plus small r2. So, current I2 into capital R2 plus small r2, and this one will be equal to the current flowing through the arm AB, which is nothing but I1 into R1. So, I1 into R1 will be equal to I2 into capital R2 plus small r2. Now, we will consider the other half of this bridge. Here again we have voltage E3 should be equal to voltage E4. Voltage E3 should be equal to voltage E4. So, I have taken one more vector over here and have represented E3 is equal to E4. As E3 is equal to V4, the current passing through it I1 into resistance R3 will be equal to current passing through the resistance I2 and R4. So, as E3 is equal to E4, I1 R3 is equal to I2 R4. Fine. So, the equivalent voltage, the final voltage will be the sum of these two phasors. So, here we have one voltage output which is E1 equal to E2, and again we have one more voltage E3 is equal to one more phasor E3 is equal to E4, and the resultant phasor out of these two will be the sum of these two phasors, which is given as this one and is represented by capital E, which is nothing but the total voltage capital E. So, in this way we can draw the phasor diagram of a Maxwell inductive bridge. This phasor diagram is a important concept for this inductive bridge, because here we are dealing with inductances and capacitances, which are nothing but impedances. So when we are dealing with impedances, we need to take care of the phase directions and phase angles also. So for that purpose, the concept of this phasor diagram is very essential. Now we will discuss about the Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge. Till now we have discussed about Maxwell inductive bridge. Now we will move on to the Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge. So here we have the general purpose AC bridge circuit and also the circuit of the Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge. Now we will see the modifications done to the general purpose bridge so as to extract this Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge. So we will come arm wise. So let us assume the first arm, which is arm AB. In the arm AB, for general purpose circuit, we have a standard resistance L1, R1 and an inductor L1. And in inductive capacitance bridge also, in the arm AB, we have a standard resistance L1, R1 and an inductor L1. So in the arm AB, we don't have any modification. Now we will see the arm BC. If you consider the arm BC in the general purpose bridge, we have a standard resistor R3. In the same way, in the inductive capacitance bridge also, in the arm BC, we have a standard resistor R3. And in the arm CD of general purpose bridge, we have a standard resistance R4. But if you observe the arm CD of Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge, along with this resistance R4, we have a variable capacitance C4. And also in the general purpose bridge, the R4 is a standard resistor, and in Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge, that standard resistance R4 is replaced by a variable resistance R4, and to it a variable capacitance C4 is added in parallel to it. So this is a major modification to a general purpose bridge. And coming to the arm AD, in the general purpose bridge, we have a standard resistance R2 and a standard inductor L2. And here in Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge, we only have the resistance R2, but we don't have any inductive component L2. So this inductive component L2 has been removed in the arm AD, and a variable capacitance has been added in the arm CD. So these two are the major modifications for an inductive capacitance bridge when compared to a general purpose bridge. Now we will see the constructional details of this Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge. So here we have 4 nodes, node A, B, C and D, and these 4 nodes formed 4 impedance arms AB, BC, CD and DA, and in the arm AB we have R1 and L1, and in the arm BC we have R3, in the arm CD we have a parallel network which is having a capacitance C4 and R4 which are connected in parallel, and in the arm AD we have a resistance R2. And anyhow we have a voltage source E connected across AC and a director D connected across B and D. Now we will try to derive a expression for balanced condition for this Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge. For that we will take the initial condition of Z1 Z4 is equal to Z2 Z3, which is the balance condition for any AC bridge. Z1 Z4 is equal to Z2 Z3 is the balance condition for any AC bridge. And now we will substitute the component values, nothing but impedance values of this Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge into these impedances, and we will try to derive the expression for it. So Z1 is the impedance of the arm AB, Z2 is the impedance of the arm AD, Z3 is the impedance of the arm BC, and Z4 is the impedance of the arm CD. So if you want to replace Z1, we can replace it as R1 plus j omega L1 into Z4 is, here we have capacitor and a resistor connected in parallel. So it will be like R4 by 1 plus j omega R4 into C4. Which one will be equal to Z2 Z3? In Z2 it is the impedance of the arm AD which is having a resistor R2, and Z3 is the impedance of the arm BC which is having a resistance, okay, here it is R2 and R3. So now we will try to simplify this equation. So R1 plus j omega L1 into R4 will be equal to R2 R3 into 1 plus j omega R4 C4. If you further simplify, we will get R1 R4 plus j omega L1 R4. This is equal to R2 R3 plus j omega R4 C4 R2 R3. Now we will compare the real and imaginary terms on the both sides. Then we will get R1 R4 is equal to R2 R3, and anyhow we have assumed that R1 and L1 are the unknowns in this circuit. So from this we can find the expression for unknown R1 as R1 is equal to R2 R3 by R4. And now we will compare the imaginary terms, and we will get j omega L1 R4 is equal to j omega R4 C4 R2 and R3. From this we can derive an expression for unknown L1 as, so before that we can cancel out the unknown, the common terms j omega, and if you realign this equation such that we can find out a expression for L1, we will get L1 equal to C4 R2 and R3, because here we have R4 is a common term, we can cancel out it. So L1 will be equal to C4 R2 R3, and R1 is R2 R3 by R4. In this way, by using the balanced condition of AC bridge, we can find out the values of unknown values R1 and L1. By substituting the known values of R2, R3, R4, we can calculate the unknown value R1, and by substituting the known values of C4, R2 and R3, we can calculate the unknown value of L1. In this way, by using a Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge, we can calculate unknown resistances and unknown inductances. Now we will see the advantages and applications of this Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge. Before that, we have phasor diagram over here, just as we have discussed for a Maxwell inductive bridge. We have taken I1 as an base reference 1. So we have taken I1, and here we have I2 and remaining components. Here we have E2 is equal to I2 into R2, which is nothing but I1 into omega L1. So just like we have discussed in the previous slides, where we explained how to draw this phasor diagram for inductive bridge, Maxwell inductive bridge, in the same way we can drive the inductive capacitance bridge also. This is the phasor diagram for this inductive capacitance bridge. And here we have discussed that we can use the AC bridge circuits for the measurement of quality factor, power dissipation, quality factor. These are the terminologies which are used for the measurement of the performance of a circuit. So we can calculate the quality factor of this circuit by using AC bridge network, and the formula for this quality factor, and quality factor is represented as capital Q. Quality factor is represented as capital Q, and to derive this expression for this Q, the formula is omega into L1 by R1, where L1, R1 are our unknown inductance and unknown resistance, for which we have derived some expressions. Now we will substitute the values of L1 and R1 in this expression. So you will get finally quality factor Q is equal to, here omega into L1 is C4 R2 into R3, and R1 is R2 R3 by C4. If you substitute, you will get Q is equal to omega into C4 R2 R3 by R2 R3 by R4, where R2 R3 get cancelled. So finally Q will be equal to omega C4 R4. So this is the quality factor of this Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge. So now we will discuss about the advantages of this Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge. The first advantage is the balanced condition of these bridges are free from frequency. Though we are using inductors and capacitances, the balanced equation of this bridge is independent from frequency, and both the balanced equations of this bridge network are independent to each other, are independent of each other. And the Maxwell inductive capacitor bridge is used for the measurement of high range of inductance. So, this Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge can be used for the measurement of very high range of inductances. And the disadvantages of this Maxwell inductive capacitance bridge is it requires a variable capacitor. It requires a variable capacitor, and variable capacitors are very high in cost. So, the circuit will be very costly, and the bridge is used only for the measurement of inductive coils which are having medium quality factor. We can use these Maxwell bridges for the measurement of inductance of the inductive coils which are having only medium quality factor. So, this is the major limitation of this Maxwell bridges, and these are the references for this lecture. Thank you.